Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing, and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. Today it is Monday, August 25th, 2025. That's 5.5 years of Torah every single day. Finding friends like my dear friend Louise, who's here with us, and Amy, and Jody, and John, Susie. Good to see you. It's broadcast 1374. Penny's joining us. That's her reminder to us. Rosa, it's good to see you. Michael and Cynthia. It is broadcast 1374. It is day 689 since October 7th. Sharon and Adrian, it's good to see you. Tara and Barry, Amy, Linda, Heather and Roberta, good morning. It's good to see you. Hope all of you are well. John, give Aviva all my love too. Barry and Tara, Jonathan and Cecile, hi Ron, good to see you. Hi Stanley. Jack, hope you're well. Let's take a breath, everybody. Sing a bracha, learn some Torah. Arlene, you're walking in West Hampton. I'm glad our Torah can be anchored with you where you are. Debbie and Deborah, Barbara and Diane, good to see you. Tsiona and Barbara, good morning. Hi Carolyn. Okay, let's take a breath. Okay. All right, friends, a few special things to share. Amy is starting her MBA today. Today's Torah is in honor of the beginning of this next path in your learning. Today is also the first day of classes for two of our children as they begin college. I'm thinking of them, wishing them well. It's the first day of my daughter's first full-time job, so I'm sharing that with all of you. Beautiful to see that we are anchored in Edinburgh. Thank you, Bria, for bringing us with you. That is quite a place for our Torah to stand with you. Scott and Tracy, it's good to see you too. Emily, sending love. And Deborah, you're sharing that today is the 47th anniversary of the loss of your little brother. And I'm blessing his memory in your heart. Today's Torah is in his memory too. Let's jump right into some Torah. So, Parshat Shoftim, that's where we are. We're in the middle of the book of Deuteronomy. Shoftim begins with, sorry, I'm going to start again. Tracy, you're sharing that you're burying your mother tomorrow. She passed away Thursday, only 103 days after your father died. We are sending such comfort and love to you. Blessing you. Blessing you. We are here to comfort you. And my friend John Horowitz, who's here, is a Hillel professional here in New York doing incredible work with college students. And he writes, "We Hillel professionals welcome all of our kids back to campus. What a gift to have you here, my friend." Okay, Torah. Parshat Shoftim is named for Shoftim v'Shotrim. Shoftim are judges, Shotrim are the legal enforcers, what we often call police. And we'll talk about those two facets of the Parsha later on in this week. There's one part in chapter 17 of the book of Deuteronomy, in this week's Parsha, that always strikes me. It's the chapter that deals with a king. Many believe that this part of Torah comes from much later in our time, where we have had an experience with kings. That begins with the book of Shmuel Aleph, 1 Samuel, where Saul is appointed king of Israel. But it is a tense moment in our history because we didn't have a king. We had a lawgiver, Moshe. We had priests, that's Aaron and his family. We had prophets, but other peoples had kings. And jumping forward in the text and then back to our Parsha, in Shmuel Aleph, the book of 1 Samuel, there is a section where the people demand a king, and the prophet Shmuel, Samuel, says, no, don't be like that. You have one king, Hashem, Melech Malchei Amlachim. We say Friday nights, King of Kings, or the ruler of rulers. And you don't need an earthly king. And Shmuel talks to God, and God says, give them what they ask for, but limit what the king, can do and have. And then you go back to the Parsha. Our Parsha in chapter 17 limits the power of the king and the wealth of the king. The king cannot go back to Egypt to get more horses. The king cannot have many wives. The king cannot have a lot of money. The king does not have more authority to violate, God forbid, any of the rules. The king is called to be what we call a mensch. And one of the ways that is signified most clearly in this week's Parsha is that the king is called when, I'm reading from chapter 17, verse 18 and 19, when he is seated on his royal throne, he should have a copy of this teaching, the Torah itself, written for him on a scroll by the priests. Let it remain with him, let him read it all his life, so that he may learn to revere God, to observe faithfully every word of this teaching as well as these laws. There's something very important to share here. Not only is the king that the Israelites will have not to be the kind of king that's out there, power-hungry, wealth-driven, egotistical, the humility, the modesty, the recognition that even the person in charge answers to the creator of all, that the ethical use of power is the only way someone will retain that power. And we see that through the biblical text, but we also know that in our world. What an important reminder it is in advance in the book of Dvarim, right where we are, Parshat Shoftim. A system of justice has to be modeled from the top. And it's normal. It is all too normal for a community to want someone to be in charge. It can be comforting to know that there's someone in charge. Obviously, the choice of that person matters a great deal if stability and justice are the goals. It's clear that whoever sits in any role of authority has severe influence over the group. But how important it is then for us to see in the Torah the demands upon the person in charge. The king in our Parsha has to have limited wealth, limited reach, a normal sized family life. Of course, that's a very modern term for this. And has to carry a Torah. And there's something important to unpack here, and I owe this observation to my teacher, Dr. Barry Holtz. You might know him from one of his most famous books called Back to the Sources. He's a teacher of education at the Jewish Theological Seminary and a very special person in my life. So he points out that translations are often interpretations. We know this. We talk about this often in our community. But when the king in our Parsha is called to have a Torah in his lap all day, the translation often says a teaching. The teachings should be there. And even though Torah does mean wisdom, in this case in the Parsha it actually means the Torah. Listen to two later comments that Dr. Holtz brings in. This is from the Mishnah, so it's thousands of years after the Torah was written. And he, meaning the king, shall write in his own name a Sefer Torah, meaning not the priest should write it down, he should write his own. When he goes forth to war, he must take it with him. On returning, he brings it back with him. When he sits in judgment, it shall be with him. And when he sits down to eat before him, as it is written, and it shall be with him, and he shall read in it all the days of his life. Going to war and eating, the use of power and the ability to have whatever you want. What an important thing for us to understand, friends. That Torah itself, and we mean the 5 books right now, ancient lessons of when we got it wrong, when we tried to get it right, and writing a Torah for yourself. We're all obligated to write a Sefer Torah. Some of us might have had the privilege of seeing a Torah written, being part of a community that's commissioned a new Torah, and to stand with the Soferet, the scribe, and holding her hand as she writes that final letter. The Talmud elaborates on the Mishnah that we just read. So just so you know, the Parsha, our Torah portion Shoftim. Thousands of years later, the Mishnah, the first collection of rabbinic teachings. And then after that, the Talmud comments on the Mishnah. And this is what the Talmud says. And he, the king, must not take credit for a Torah that belonged to his ancestors. Rabbah, a rabbi, said, even if one's parents have left them a Sefer Torah, it is proper that he should write one of his own. And this is where I wanted to land just for a moment. We are standing together as we are learning right now, Monday, August 25th, 2025. There has been a lot of love and heart and thinking and leadership and mistakes and corrections throughout Jewish history. We are on day 689 since October 7th, and we are not anywhere near where we need to be. We are 50 souls away from being able to take our next step. And it is also the case, friends, that we are 1,374 learnings in to our community's life and thousands of years of building to this point. We have inherited great Torah. In this moment, we are called to consider what it calls us to be and to do. The king has to write their own Torah, even if they inherited one, even if the priest wrote him one or her one. We are called to write our own Torah, to consider it when we have to fight, when we eat, when we wake up, as so many of us have over these last long months, you and I finding each other every single day. But it's not only to receive the comfort of Torah as we inherit it, it's to take responsibility for writing it ourselves, and it isn't only about the modern writing that we will do, the interpretation. It's also the inheriting of a sacred text that we are called to rewrite, not to change, but to write ourselves. What an important reminder for us that we are obligated by the long arc of Jewish history. And the ancient part of it that we're recounting today tells us even if we were to have the power of a king, we are obligated. Power and obligation are very important parts of our modern Jewish life. Right now, there's a phrase, because we're in the new month of Elul, the last month of the Jewish calendar, leading right into Rosh Hashanah, and we say Hamelach Basadeh, the king is in the field. There are a lot of mystical understandings of what that phrase means. But we have to remember in this moment, on this journey where we blow shofar every morning, leading up to Rosh Hashanah, that we are not alone in our navigation of this world. That is both very comforting it is also deeply obligating. Power and obligation. The king sits on a throne, but the king is not in charge. The king is obligated. When going to war, because sometimes you must, you carry Torah with you. And it tells you what you can and cannot do, even when you must fight. Torah also reminds us that there have always been times where we've had to fight. We're in that moment again. Someone wrote a few months ago a really good blog post on the Times of Israel. I am exhausted from living in historic times. I get it. Trust me, I get it. I'm sure you get it too. But the Torah this week tells us it is always historic times. We are always obligated to carry Torah with us, whether we are, using biblical terms, wood gatherers or water drawers, whether we, like our friend Catherine, are in Australia, or like Deborah, are in San Francisco, or like Bria in Edinburgh, or Linda in Florida, or even me in Westchester. No matter where we are or when we have been, we have always been called to write the Torah ourselves. Sometimes that's interpretive flourish. It's a response to what we've inherited. But sometimes it's a reminder of the wisdom that was there as a guardrail in the first place for the moment where we'd be free enough to make decisions. May we be blessed to know that no matter what power we accrue, we are called to live lives of obligation. Even the king wasn't in charge. What a gift to remember that. What a gift to be held by tradition, to carry it with us every day. Take a breath, friends. Take a breath. Sing with me. Pray with me for our beloved 50. Please, God, let the headlines hinting at something this morning be fulfilled today. May we have them in our arms. May we be granted again the chance to love them with dignity, and for us all to begin a next step. Kolon baleva penima nefesh Yehudi homia ulefate mizrach kadima ayin letzion tzofia od lo avda tikvateinu התקווה בת שנות 2000 להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון וירושלים להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון Virushalayim. Bring them home now. Am Yisrael Chai. See you tomorrow, my friends.